So, it turns out that when you read a book, it actually changes who you are. Science has now confirmed it. Congratulations, science, for catching up to what English knew a while ago. Researchers from Ohio State University did studies that proved that people do something called experience taking when they read a book, where they learn something from reading a character's experiences and then internalize those experiences, and very often do what the character might do when they're faced with a similar problem in the real world. So someone who reads a book about someone who's had a lot of trouble voting would be more likely to vote in the real world. Or someone who, say, has read a book about a boy wizard taking on darkness in his world might be more prone to, you know, take on darkness in their own world. HPA, what? I'm so sorry, I don't know what came over me. In a lot of ways, that's sort of the point of reading a book, isn't it? To put yourself in someone else's shoes and walk a mile in them. Or, you know, from here to Mordor and back. In this same study, straight white students read pieces of prose about characters who were later revealed to be gay or black, and afterwards, those students, the readers, were found to have higher levels of empathy for those minority groups because they had experienced, even only through writing, what it was like to be someone other than themselves. I've linked an article about the study in the description, but I find this endlessly interesting because it really gets to the core of what I love about stories and storytelling. Because reading allows us to view the world through a lens that is not our own, and sometimes it's uncomfortable to read through that lens. For instance, certain vampire fiction is a little hard for me to get through in the first person. Being inside of certain people's heads is a little bit frustrating for me. It makes me want to sigh a lot, like she does. And this study also speaks so directly to why education is important, because you can only live one life as yourself. You can only have the experiences that you have in the time that you have, but reading allows you to have the experiences of not only the author, but of the characters and the people that those characters are based on. This study essentially says that while reading that novel, you are able to internalize those experiences and make changes in your life. And not only that you can consciously learn lessons from a book, but that subconsciously you are already changing your behavior to be more understanding of those that are not like you, simply by reading. When I read studies like this, I'm reminded of the fact that I'm often told that kids who grew up reading Harry Potter are far more likely to be tolerant and involved in the world around them, as opposed to people who didn't. So I suppose if you were reading a book whose main character despises altruism or something like that, that you might take on those negative characteristics as well. So it's a road that goes both ways. But let me know what you think about internalizing what you read in the comments. I hope that you're having a swell day, and until I see you next, keep reading and be brilliant.